Okay, take two because of the fucking neighbor's dog's barking. If you have little dogs, you should just like let them loose in the wild and let things fucking eat them. My opinion. Fuck those dogs. And you know, I kind of hope she hears me. This video is about tools for a cabin or end of the world or whatever. Like, hey, I want to do shit in the woods. What is shit that I might need to do? And what are good tools to have for it? This is not everything, but this is like containers, cordage, cutting tools, and rifles, I guess. There's a few other things mixed in. You should have a fire starting method or two on top of this. You should have a bunch of other shit. Okay, this is not that. This is like knives and guns and containers. First up on the containers, you need a good backpack. Get as good a one as you can get. You need to carry stuff to and from. Backpack's good for that. I have a CamelBak in mine that I never use. It just sits there in case of emergency. It is a, you could fill it with water and have more water. Let's say you ended up in the desert or some shit and you forgot your canteen. Well, at least you got your emergency CamelBak. That's kind of my thoughts on that whole thing. The other containers, this thing is a mess kit that is from TechSport, I believe. Nope, MSR, sorry. There's nothing really to this. I think this is like all of $20. It's the MSR Alpine Pot, I believe is what they call this. You need a vessel to boil in. They make these in various sizes. I would get the biggest one that you could carry. This is like the medium. Like they make one smaller than this and they make two bigger than this one. And I've got a fucking spork in there because it makes sense too. For the rest of water, that is a 40-ounce Nalgene with an adapter from Hardside Hydration. It fixes the whole CamelBak issue. I think it's better. You get a bottle. You can hook up a Katadyn Hiker Pro water filter, which is another thing that you should probably have in this that's not here. But like that's why this isn't a kit video. This is talking about the shit that you might want to have. And like we're going to talk about the guns. Let's do the guns next. So this is my thinking on said guns. AR-15's ammunition is light. You can kill a lot of things with it. It is a relatively cheap gun. If I was going to be in bear country, I might pick a different gun. Okay? This is like a deer hunting coyote rifle. Okay? Maybe other things like fur bearing and things that you might eat. That's what this rifle does. It's not really a good predator defense gun. Although I put it to you that with Full Metal Jacket and 30 plus rounds of it, I'm gonna aim for the head. So I don't know. Like this is like you need to tailor your rifle to where you're going to be. And like if you have threats that are like bears and pumas and shit, like if you're gonna go to Alaska, it's a different rifle than fucking Texas. This is a Texas, Arizona, and Oklahoma rifle. Okay. 1911. You can pick a lot of handguns. Doesn't matter what handgun it is. I would pick something in a 10 millimeter or a 45 or better. I wish that gun was 10 millimeter. It's not. It's 45. That is what it is. The reason we have that is for people and defense of animals. That's basically for defending yourself with. This is like kind of for hunting with / defending yourself with. That's why the bayonet also. The 22 is small game hunting and fun. And I like the Savage there because you can break it down. So like if you're going to have guns in a cabin, a cheap AR-15, some sort of pistol, and a takedown 22 is pretty badass. Or if you're going to hike in the end of the world, you could do that with it. That's why I own these guns, basically. I have other guns in the house, but these are the 3 that are really mine. The rest of them are things to pass out to people, other than the black powder revolver and maybe the backup gun. Well, anyway, that's the guns that I would take, right? So let's talk about shovels. These are the shovels that I have, and the one that I would add to this would be like a full-size, like, shovel, like that one's sitting up over there against the house. But for a trowel, something to like dig up worms or bury shit with or something like that. Million other reasons you might need a trowel, but that's called a U-Dig-It. It's like 20 bucks. This is the M1967 carrier for the trifold shovel. You don't need this. It came with a plastic thing that was free. I like having the Pimp Daddy old school one. This in a carrier was $20 at Wanamaker. It's an Ames 72 trifold shovel. It was made in 72. These are all made by Ames, as you can see there. Make sure you get a real one that's an Ames. Don't get one that's some fucking random bullshit. Digging holes is important. With that shovel, I could dig you someplace to live. With this shovel, I can only dig up bait. But it's light and easy to carry and whatever. And like, you don't really need this and that. But I'd probably bring them both, because why the fuck not? This thing is light. They're shovels for different purposes. And that's what you're going to see here is knife-wise. You know, that covers all of the shovels, by the way. Other than, like I said, that bitch. Let's talk about the fixed blade knives. So these are like a hunting knife and a utility camp knife. This is for skinning game and whatever, and anything else that you might need a knife for. And then this is for like shit that you don't want to use this knife for. Okay, and I'd have a food knife probably with this too, or maybe even a set of food knives. Okay, but you could use these as your food knives too. That's fixed blades. Pocket knives for me lately. I have these. That's a folding Mora. And this is a Mora Eldris. That says a folding Mora. It's a CIA survival balisong from Vietnam. I talk about this thing all the time. I don't want to talk about it more. I like that knife because it's fun to play with and it's got a Scandi grind on it. Multi-tool wise, this is a Leatherman rebar. You can get these used on eBay for 40 bucks. This is a Skeletool rescue tool with the fucking serrated blade. And this is the Victorinox Farmer X. In my mind, this thing and these have the same capabilities. I kind of like these a little bit better. This is like $200 worth of knives. This is like 40 bucks. You decide. I would probably just buy the Leatherman. I would buy the Leatherman and get this thing. And the thing that I would miss off of this combo is the Victorinox All. Sorry. My back felt weird there for a second. I had to sit down. What else do we want to talk about? Axes. So, I have 2 axes here. These are cross purposes, and I need to get a third one. And the third one I'm going to replace this with when I do. However, this is a $15 axe, $20 axe at Lowe's. It's a Fiskars, I forget what they call it. It's the Fiskars hatchet. This thing is the Gerber Bear Grylls hatchet that they fucking took the Bear Grylls stuff off of, but he actually designed this thing. And it makes a cool Make sure we're still recording. A cool knife slash everything else. Like, it's a hunting axe, in my opinion. You could split kindling with it, but like, this is for like taking apart an animal in quarters. Like, if you're doing something like with an elk or a moose or something like that, a big animal, you're gonna want this. Actually, you might want both of those. That's, you know, axes for cross purposes. And if in reality, if I get another axe, I'm probably just going to add it to this. I'm not going to get rid of this cheapo Fiskars. It's kind of like the Mora knife there. I have a better knife there. I definitely would like to have the lightweight cheap one that works and the good one. You know, 2 is 1, 1 is none kind of a thing. That's with a lot of this. Even this is like, as a backup way to dig. I don't know. Like I said, digging bait for fishing is really... I might throw this in the fishing kit. There's a whole kit that goes with this shit that's for fishing too that I should have brought out here. But it doesn't really matter. The point of this shit is... what else did I bring out? Let's talk about those before we round up. This is the flashlight that I would throw in with this shit. It has a mount on it because I like to play around, and honestly, it doesn't hinder the flashlight in its other capacities, and now you can bolt it to things. I like this thing because it takes C cells and has an LED, so it lasts a really long time, and it projects a nice spot that goes out pretty far. This is a C cell mag light with an LED upgrade bulb, and then that's an ACOG mount and some hose clamps. You can do what you want. I have other lights. I have Surefires. I have Enforces. I have fucking Streamlights. At the end of the day, you need something that always works and that has pretty good range to it. That's what this is for. Headlamps would be a good advice thing to get. Lanterns, yada, yada, yada. You have to carry all this shit, right? You know, this is where, like, this is not really a survival kit. This is, you should look through the stuff that I've got here and, you know, work on your kit. Use things that I've got here to, like, change what you do. But, like, this is kind of my setup. The only thing I didn't talk about was the rope over there. That is 3, like, I think they're 50-foot strands of 550 cord braided together. That's probably thousands and thousands of pounds test. And that's a 1,200 pound test rope to basically hang food with. I would try to, if I really killed something big, I'd fucking tie that around its neck and haul it into a fucking tree or something like that to do a lot of shit to it. Okay, this is like hunting gear, I guess. In with that too, this is in my purse, but I threw them in with this because actually all of that shit is in my purse right now. This thing has a spot it goes on combat gear, but I love it and I carry it a lot. These two, this is a snap-on flat screwdriver. It's small, it's light, it's good for a lot of shit. And then this is a little Phillips that is an HK rear sight tool that I just like. I think I spent $5 on this. It's made by HK, but it doesn't say HK on it because it was made for some military. I don't remember which military it was, but as a result, nobody values this thing. And it's, you know, this same screwdriver with the HK stamp on it is like $100 or some shit. It's expensive. So, you know, if I ever find an MP5, I have a fucking rear sight tool for it. It also does Phillips head screws. Well, that's pretty much everything, but my point with this gear is basically, like, if you were going to go build a shelter in the woods and live out of it, this is what you'd probably have to bring. There's some other shit, like, a lot of, like, the survival stuff is not good stuff. This is good stuff. This is stuff that you could use to live in the woods forever. Okay? So, like, yes, we're taking more weight. But you should get that, like, in this weight, there's a, you know, the fishing box that I don't have here is one way to get food, right? A fucking like bow and arrow, which I would love to have with this shit, would also be a way to have food. The rifles, if the world has really gone to shit, I wouldn't even be using the bow and arrow anymore. I'd probably just be using guns, but like that would be in the way off future sometime, right? When everybody's fucking dead and the animals have taken over. If that fucking happens, which I think that is actually kind of likely. I think that's more likely than people want to believe. Anywho, if you were going up to Alaska, this is the kind of shit that I would want to have in my car. And even bigger tools, really. Like, this is the, like, minimalist survival kit for living in Alaska. You would probably almost die with only this equipment. In fact, I would bet that you would probably die. So, now figure, hey, we're living in Oklahoma or Texas. Well, as a survival kit to have in your car, planning for Alaska, it makes things, you know, seem really much better here. I like that's half of this. This is like some Alaska survival kit shit. I have no idea what I'm going to title this video. Survival weapons and gear. That's it. And like I said, this isn't everything. You should add a bunch of shit to this. But in reality, like, what do you need to do? Well, you need firewood, and this ain't great, but I assure you it's better than the knife. And this is where I want to get a forest axe and a like a full-size splitting axe from like a hardware store. Not like a splitting maul, but like just a standard axe. I have a fireman's axe in the house, but like I don't process a whole lot of wood. And like when I go camping and shit, I usually raid the fucking forest of dead shit and have a saw, which I need to take care of saws in this. That's the like glaring omission here. And this is, my old saw broke and I have not bought a new one yet. And my saws for this kit would be a Bahco Laplander, a Bahco bow saw, and a fucking, what's it called, a DeWalt electric chainsaw I would like to buy. But you have to have a way to charge that, right? So I have a way to charge that with the solar from the fucking car for the fridge. So I'm going to buy an electric fucking chainsaw. And when you're like, well, that's not as good as a real chainsaw, does your real chainsaw use gasoline? Yeah. So my chainsaw's free. And it would be less capable, but it would be more capable than a fucking bow saw. At least at some things. Especially, like, you can carve with a chainsaw in a lot of ways that you just can't with a bow saw. It'd be at least good for that. Misuse the fuck out of everything. Like, that's half of the thing really is you can use that as an axe. It's nowhere near as good as that Fiskars hatchet. And really, I think all things considered, this is pretty light gear. Like, the shit that I would add to this is mostly the stuff that I've mentioned through here, and a bunch of clothing, and some sort of, like, rain cover, right? Like, a few tarps. There's other shit that you should add to this for sure. But this is, like, several bases covered a couple times. Especially, like, I'm working on more axes. That's something on my list of shit to get. I really think this thing for $30 as a hunting tool, you should just get that shit. Not to mention, like, I kind of want to hang this on a fucking belt as the survival axe. Maybe we'll test out and see how good this thing is, but I know how good this thing is. And like, you can tell it's been used a bunch. These kind of suck, but kind of rock at the same time because they're cheap and they work. The part that I will say sucks is the handle. And really, they make one of these with a wooden handle now. Kind of thinking about getting one of those. Well, anyway, I hope someone has found something in all of this useful. If you want one of these, you can get them on eBay from time to time. Search Hackman Balisong. Other than that, you can find old ones on, what is that used knife site? There's a used knife site from Arizona that I can't remember the name of. Something Custom Knives, that, like, this is what they do, is they sell customs, and they deal a lot in automatics and balisongs because they're a knife people, and they get it. They get the laws and whatever, and they just say, fuck it. So if you want one of those, I can't remember the name of that fucking website now. Ask Cutlery Lover, he knows what it is. I'll see you guys later. I might try Googling Hackman Balisong too, see what comes up.